How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and just because it's getting dark outside doesn't mean the phone fun stops just yet. We've got two 4G LTE devices from AT&T in the house. One is the Samsung Galaxy S II Skyrocket, one's the HTC Vivid, and we're throwing them together, pew pew pew, like that, in an epic dogfight battle to see which one's the best. Now, on one hand, the Galaxy S II Skyrocket, dual-core 1.5 GHz processor, while over here you have a dual-core 1.2 GHz processor, but both have 8-megapixel cameras, both have large displays, and both, of course, support 4G LTE. Which one's the best? We'll have to find out in the dogfight, but first, special thanks to Best Buy Mobile. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working regardless of which phone you get. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your call settings, your camera, and more. So when you walk out that door, you're set up in Best Buy Mobile style. Let's take a look. Which one's the best device? Here we go into part 2 of this video, and let's take a look at the web browsers on both of these devices, because the experience is a little bit different between the two. Now, 4G LTE has been out in the Charlotte metro area since the 20th of November it came, and it is one of the 15 markets to get coverage this year. So we're going to load up internet over here as well, and I've been pretty pleased with it. It's not necessarily up to par, at least right now where I'm at. I give it testing, or I test it rather uptown. My home is in the North Charlotte area. I've tested it in Northeast Charlotte and in South Charlotte, and I haven't really seen speeds as fast as Verizon's 4G LTE. Now, that said, the upload speeds are pretty impressive, so we'll do some speed tests in just a little bit. But you can see 4G LTE running on both of these devices, but it's definitely been fast and much better than HSPA Plus. And you'll see over here, PhoneDog loaded up on the site here, and you can see what it looks like. Now, big 4.5-inch display, and usually I'm one of those people that's like, you don't really need any more than 4 inches or 4.3 at max, but where it really comes in handy is on devices like this, where it's a really media-centric device. You browse the web a lot, you listen to music, maybe some music videos, and I think you'll find that the 4.5-inch display is excellent for that, because look how much you can see on the 4.5-inch display over here. Now, you do get a little bit of a different experience on both of these devices, because this one, like I said, in part 1 is a longer display, and we'll load up PhoneDog over here as well so you can get the comparison. But let's do that. PhoneDog.com. Load that up over here, and while it's loading, we'll take a look. So pinch to zoom, very responsive over here, and what I do like is when you pinch all the way out to the display, you see a little bit of checkerboarding there, but when you get all the way out, I don't know why it's not doing it. There we go. You can open up a new window, and it gives you a nice preview of where you left off. So let's say I'm reading Alex's article here on Leap, Verizon and Leap. Then I go over here and I open a second window, and then I go back to the Leap article. It's going to show me right where I left off, so I can go right back to reading. And of course, portrait and landscape transitions are nice and fast, though I've noticed in this one, no transition effects. And I think it's always good to have a transition effect, even if it takes a little bit longer, because look at that, it's kind of blocky, it kind of looks ugly when it transitions from portrait to landscape, but still, it definitely, everything's working very, very fast with little to no lag. I don't think I have the rotation turned on, or I don't have the zoom in turned on. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on so you can see what I'm talking about here. And I just butchered the explanation of that. But what it is, we can go in here and turn on, and I can't remember exactly where it's located. We're at motion, that's right. Go into motion, and let's see if we can tilt, reduce or enlarge panning. Is it this one? I can't remember if it's tilt. Yeah, it is tilt. Okay, cool. Motion activation. We're going to turn tilt on, and we're going to give it a test here and see what it looks like. There we go. So you can see I can tilt the display in and out and zoom in by using my two thumbs. So I can do the same thing on the website here. Press and hold, and you see a little bit of checkerboarding, but I can easily zoom in and out. Pretty cool. I haven't found myself using it that much, but you can see over here, same thing. Pinch to zoom, very responsive as well, and then you can see easy transitions between portrait and landscape, and you get the same thing over here. When I go to Windows, it gives me a nice preview of where I left off, and I can load up a secondary page as well. So browser performance, mostly a tie. They're both pretty good in the web department. So let's take a look at camera as well. 8-megapixel camera on both of these devices, and this one was pretty tough. It was kind of a hard decision. They're both decent cameras, and so we'll pull out the double time box here and see if we can get kind of a similar picture with both. So I'm going to pull out and take a picture. No camera shortcut button, so you do have to press on the display to focus and then let go, take the picture, and you can see the picture I just took there. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, and these of course are very unofficial tests, but you get the idea. Both shoot 1080p HD video as well, so take a look at the samples on PhoneDog.com. So here we go, load that up, and you can see the comparison between the two. Now, the image quality to me is better on the Skyrocket. I think the camera is pretty decent over here. I do notice that the whites are a little bit more washed out, but I think the overall image is better on the Skyrocket than on the HTC Vivid. You can just see it's a very clear look. You can see the gloss or the light kind of reflecting off of the glossy box. Whereas over here, it feels like it's not as clear. Now, I don't know what it's looking like in the camera to you, but giving a kind of a comparison here, the Skyrocket wins the unofficial camera test. Take a look at both of them in store if camera's your thing, if you're really concerned about it. But what I will say is after using both of these, I've been relatively pleased. Using them as just kind of a point-and-shoot replacement. It's not going to be obviously your video camera replacement or your replacement, your Canon high-end camcorder, but it should get the job done just fine. Now, I'm going to load up Android Market on both of these, but I'll really probably just show it on the Skyrocket because there aren't any real differences to the market between the two devices. But I wanted to show you what the new market looks like because they're including music in here now, so they're kind of coming in line with Apple's App Store and with the fact that iTunes and the App Store are kind of pre-installed on all iOS devices. I can download music here directly, so I can click on music. I can see top albums, top songs, so we can say we found, what is it, We Found Love? Talk that talk. Yeah, We Found Love. And then I can play from here, and I can either download the entire album or I can download the song. Oh, I know the song. Let it go. We found a hopeless place. That song. Anyway, music there, and then apps over here. And you can see it's organized in kind of a Metro UI type thing with some rectangles and some squares intended to draw your eye because of the different shapes and sizes. But you can see over here, top paid, top free. And then when I come in here, you can see the screenshots, editor's choice, description, reviews with a nice easy to read 3.6 right there as an average, more developer, and then what else people downloaded as well. So it's a nice, clean, good look. Let's take a look at Quadrant Standard before we jump into speed test, network speed test that is, and we'll load this up and I'll tell you a little bit more about the phones. Now in terms of call quality, I've been pretty impressed with both. The edge on call quality for me goes to the Skyrocket. I think the earpiece is a little bit louder, and in my testing with callers, they reported less background noise on the Skyrocket. They said the call was a little bit clearer, and this is something that's kind of in line with what I've talked about on some recent HTC devices. I found that the wireless radios, when you go to an AT&T dead spot, for example, I found that the wireless radios are just a little bit better on the Samsung devices that I test as opposed to the HTC, at least the recent HTC devices like the Evo 3D, the Sensation 4G, and now the Vivid. It's definitely good, don't get me wrong, and if you're in an area like Uptown Charlotte or a side of the city that has great coverage or even mediocre coverage, you're going to be fine. It's not really that noticeable. Where you will notice it is if you're in a dead zone or somewhere where you typically get 0 or 1 bar of service. I'd give the edge to the Skyrocket just ever so slightly over the HTC Vivid. Another area I'd give it to, and I'm going to pause there while we take a look at the scores here. 2,474 over on the Skyrocket and 1,905 over on the Vivid. Now, I've definitely seen faster. I've seen this one as high as 3,700, and I've seen the Vivid all the way up to 2,100. So take that with a grain of salt. Not sure why it's so slow tonight, but just to keep in mind, and of course it's always an unofficial test. Take it with a grain of salt, but still those are your Quadrant Standard scores. Now, another thing I've noticed on the Skyrocket, the battery does a pretty decent job of lasting all throughout the day. Now, brightness is turned to the max right now, but when I use it with moderate use, texting, emailing, calling, downloading some apps, doing things like that, I've been really impressed with the Skyrocket. 1,850 milliamp hour battery over here, 1,620 over here. This one dies pretty regularly. I don't think I've been able to make it, to my knowledge. Let me think. No, I haven't been able to make it through a day of moderate use on the Vivid. I have with the Skyrocket. It gets close at times, but I think if you're a battery person, you're somebody that relies on, you really make a lot of calls, you're out of the office a lot, you're not near a charger all the time, take a look at the Skyrocket. Now, on the flip side, it takes a little bit longer to charge. So if you're like me and it's like you live off a 20 or 25 minute charge, you're going to a meeting or you're in like CES or you're going a trade show and you're rushing from something to the other and you're using it just to charge while you're in meetings, the Skyrocket may not be the best one. That said, the battery is better in the Skyrocket. I've had much better numbers out of the Skyrocket. So you can see LTE running right now on both of these devices. Speed's not really impressive at the moment, but I've definitely seen faster speeds on both these devices, and I'll show you in the results section in just a second. But it looks like the Skyrocket's just going to edge it out ever so slightly, 3.13 megabits per second. That's like HSPA plus speeds. I don't know why it's so low right now. But again, it's been kind of wonky, since they launched it in Charlotte. I've seen speeds as low as like 2 and 3 megabits per second, and speeds as high as like 10 megabits per second. Keep in mind, I'm in Center City, Charlotte right now, so out of all the places to have coverage, I'm literally standing in the, or not standing, I'm sitting, but sitting in the city right now, Center City. So I don't know why it's not better than it is, but you can see over here, pretty low numbers. I haven't done as many tests on the Vivid, pretty low numbers over here, but you can see I've seen a 7, an 8, a 9.67 megabits per second over there, and you can see what I've been averaging. So definitely take a look at the upload speeds, though. That's where it's been kind of impressive. These are meh, really not that impressive, but take a look at 6, 7, some pretty high upload speeds for LTE as well. So they still have some work to do. You know, I'm seeing 2's unacceptable, 3's unacceptable, anything less than about 5 is unacceptable on LTE. But still, they've done pretty decent on the upload speeds. Hopefully, they'll get that tweaked a little bit better as time goes on. But for right now, LTE not as fast as Verizon, still faster for the most part than HSPA Plus, WiMAX, HSPA Plus 42, all these other kind of 4G-ish technologies on the market. So that's something to keep in mind. They're both pretty decent in that department. So also, one other thing I wanted to show you before we sign off, let me jump around and find it here. Just wanted to show you the contacts differences because, again, the interface is pretty important, and I want to show you how they differ between these two devices. So we'll take a look at the dialing area, for example, and you can see that even though both of these are running Android 2.3, it's a different dialing experience. You can see the numbers are different, and then when I load up 867, or actually that's perfect, 8, the phone dog pops up. So if I type in like phone dog Aaron, it brings up that test phone number. That's the Captivate Glide review unit. Just in case you're wondering, that's not my real phone number, but you can see it brings up my picture, and then whereas over here, it does the same thing, but a little bit different. One thing I don't like, though, is how it groups all the contacts. So when I dial 611, for example, hit call, and then I hit end, it's going to group my missed calls or my received calls all with my contacts. I don't really care for that, whereas over here, it does not do that. So something to keep in mind. Call button in the middle on both of these devices, but just to show you what the call screen looks like. And then up here, you have some tabs, logs, contacts, my favorite callers. 611 apparently is a frequently dialed number for me, so you get the idea as to the differences. So both of these are good Android devices. Honestly, I think you can't go wrong with either one, especially for the fact that they have 4G LTE, and they're still relatively thin, and they're good-looking devices. I think if you want a better build quality, take a look at this one. It's got a beautiful metal battery cover. If you're really big on like having metal and glass and having a premium feel device, this one is a little bit heavier. It feels better in the hand, and because of it being narrow, it just feels good. So it's got a good display to it, nice metal battery cover. This is going to be the ultimate device if you're a guy that likes, or a gal rather, that likes a nice high-end device. Whereas over here, it's plasticky. It's typical Samsung build quality, but what you do get over here, you get a better battery, you get near-field communication built in, you get a nicer display, but you do pay 50 extra bucks for it. So something to keep in mind. The winner of the dogfight is the Skyrocket, the Samsung Galaxy S II Skyrocket. Is, in my opinion, the better device between these two. Now, that said, it all depends on what you want. If you want the better build quality, go Vivid. If you want those enhancements to battery life, NFC, and screen, take a look at the Skyrocket. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with the Skyrocket and with the Vivid on PhoneDog.com. Keep it locked on the site. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're always giving away stuff. We're on there quite a bit. I'm sure there'll be some question about one of these devices tonight on the Facebook page. Check it out, like us, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Follow me on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Let me know what you think. You like the Vivid? You like the Skyrocket more? I'd love to hear from you. At any of those mediums, please reach out to me. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.